All right, let's before we head into the fun half, let's talk about this really disturbing story. So Sam Biddle of The Intercept wrote a story that I'd encourage everybody to check out. It's about Amazon, but it's not really about Amazon. It's really about our immigration privatization and what the United States actually does to human beings. So there's our generation does not fall for like the fanfic, Alexander Hamilton or whatever, but there are a lot of still people who believe the US is the greatest country on earth and is above these kinds of tactics.
That the Constitution is there to protect us and not to a conspiracy against people who have to work for a living or are owned by people, right? To keep them down.
Yeah, that is the religion of the United States in many ways, but we've got multiple ones. Here, this kind of story should shake that belief at least a little bit. Amazon co-owns deportation airline implicated in alleged torture of immigrants. So this piece that Bradley's putting up here, it's disturbing, just a bit of a warning in terms of what's described by what is done by Omni Air International, which is responsible for a lot of the deportation efforts by the United States government. Amazon quietly became a partial owner of Air Transport Services Group Incorporated, a power player in the air cargo industry that has helped the United States forcibly deport thousands of migrants and, its passengers allege, at times subjected them to horrific abuse en route. On March 9th, 2021, Amazon purchased 19.5% of ATSG for $131 million and currently reserves options that would let it expand that stake to 40%. Among ATSG's various aviation subsidiaries is Omni Air International, a passenger charter firm that moves humans on behalf of the federal government. Its two most prominent federal customers are the DoD, which uses the firm for troop transports, and the Department of Homeland Security, which has paid the company reportedly exorbitant fees over the years in order to execute so-called special high-risk charter flights for its ICE Air deportation machine. Immigration and Customs Enforcement deals with Omni through an intermediary, Classic Air Charter Incorporated, a flight logistics firm whose parent company previously helped transport CIA prisoners to black sites to be tortured. Just a sense of what we're dealing with here. And so again, this is less about Amazon, and like honestly, I would imagine that Biddle and The Intercept wanted to put Amazon in the headline because one, yes, they are culpable, but two, it's a little bit more clicky. But really, this is a systemic conversation about the privatization of the worst parts of our government because it creates less oversight and it gets people rich in the process. The deportation flight abuse crisis is attributed directly to the opacity of firms like Omni. And this is a quote from a 2019 U of Washington human rights study. Over the past decades, the institutional infrastructure behind these flights has shifted from a government operation run by the U.S. Marshal Service on government planes to a sprawling semi-secret network of flights on privately owned aircraft. One of the more infamous examples is a notoriously botched 2017 removal flight to Somalia, which the center believes was operated by Omni, on which deportees allege physical beatings, the use of straitjackets, verbal abuse and threats, and the denial of access to restrooms, which force passengers to soil themselves in their seats. Even without specific allegations of abuse, the flights come with inherent brutality for deportees. So outside of these reported, making them soil their pants on an international flight, which is many, many hours to Africa, that constitutes abuse. But even the baseline usage of these flights is abusive. The flights come with an inherent brutality for deportees who remain bound and shackled for the entirety of an international flight, at times upward of 30 hours or more with stopovers. Nearly 100 formal allegations of abuse and mistreatment aboard ICE air flights were filed to the Department of Homeland Security's Office for Civil Rights and Civil Liberties between 2007 and 2018, including a 2012 incident in which an ICE detainee miscarried her triplets. aboard a removal flight to El Salvador. They place them in what is called a wrap, which is essentially a straitjacket, but worse. The wrap incapacitates individuals by binding their legs together and their arms behind their back in a semi-seated position using a mummy-like set of harnesses, locks, and chains. This is one of the complaints filed to the Department of Homeland Security's Office for Civil Rights and Civil Liberties by a coalition of immigrant advocacy groups and the Texas A&M University School of Law. It details the harrowing experience of 3 migrants deported by Omni Air, alleging that ICE is using the wrap in a manner that constitutes torture or cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment in violation of the Convention Against Torture. And this is a quote from one of the men. One man recounted that after he was being thrown to the ground and shot with rubber bullets, he was placed in the wrap and loaded onto an Omni flight where his body remained locked in at a 40-degree angle for about 9 hours. It was so painful, he said. The position was very stressful on my body. My muscles were shot with pain the entire bus ride and flight back to Cameroon. And a lot of this is taken from a report by Sarah Towley, who put a lot of this together and interviewed these people.
Jesus.
So I wanted to talk about that, one, because it was germane to the interview that we just did. But 2, because this is how our government gets away with, and in fact executes with, in a cloak and dagger way, the worst of U.S. empire. They privatize it. Companies like Amazon make money off of it. And then shadier companies that are more behind the scenes that do deals with companies like Amazon make money off of it. Everybody gets rich off human suffering. And the United States, what they get out of it, yeah, there's a bit of plausible deniability, even though they know exactly what they're doing when they outsource this to companies like this.
Yeah, and then let's return to lecturing other countries about human rights.
Yeah. Right. Where that boycott of the Olympics... Just someone ask Joe Biden about this story and then talk about again, not an excuse about cultural genocide of the Uyghurs, but the hypocrisy in the United States and the idea that we use our platform to wag our fingers as we do things like this. Give me a break.
Yeah, exactly. I think like the idea that I think it shouldn't be that controversial that you keep an eye on the body politic you're a member of most. And I'm sorry, like the way that it acts in these sorts of ways, and like also in Afghanistan, like just killing hundreds of thousands of people. I'm not like going to give it my warrant in, being a defender of human rights, because I think it's appalling what it's actively doing, and it has been doing my entire lifetime, all of our entire lifetimes, our parents' entire lifetimes before that.